Hello and welcome to Gerety Talks. Today we are having a special edition with another of the Grand Prix winners from Gerety 2025. This time we have invited over part of the team behind the Entertainment Cat Grand Prix winner, the final copy of Ilon Specht. We welcome today Charlotte Franceris, President of Macan Paris and Global Business Leader for L'Oréal, Julien Callot, Chief Creative Officer of Macan Paris and Global Creative Director for L'Oréal Brands, and Brendan Gold, Global Chief Entertainment Officer from Macan, to tell us more about this campaign. Thank you all for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
First of all, congratulations on this award. What does this recognition from the Gerety jury mean to you?
We are super happy. If there's one award that we wanted to have, it's probably this one, because of the jury. I mean, it's a woman's story. That's how we find Ben, by the way, the director that we associate to this award because he's been playing a big part, Ben Proudfoot. This is the best recognition we can expect. A woman celebrating a story of a woman that has not been, recognized for what she's done is perfect.
So let's watch the campaign and we can then talk about it.
I use the most expensive hair color in the world, preferenced by L'Oréal. It's not that I care about the money, it's that I care about my hair.
It's not just the color, I expect great color.
I don't mind spending more for L'Oréal because I'm worth it. I wrote that.
The new documentary short titled The Final Copy of Ilon Specht, who coined L'Oréal's iconic Because I'm Worth It slogan.
In the 60s, the ads were often made from a male point of view.
We were given an assignment, L'Oréal. They wanted a campaign.
The agency insisted on a male voiceover.
She uses the most expensive hair color in the world, preferenced by L'Oréal.
It was wrong. I was feeling angry. I'm not interested in writing anything about looking good for men. Fuck them.
Actually, I don't mind spending more for L'Oréal because I'm worth it.
It's a 4-word feminist manifesto.
I'm worth it. I'm worth it.
I'm worth it.
She wrote the most influential tagline in women's beauty advertising.
She's such an iconic, I mean, the word is overused, but in this case applies.
Before watching this beautiful film, I didn't actually know very much about the feminist origins of the slogan.
I'm not interested in advertising. I don't give a shit. It's about humans. It's about caring for people because we're all worth it or no one is worth it.
As we mentioned before, this campaign was rewarded with the Grand Prix in the Entertainment Cat and a silver in the Communication Cat at Gerety 2025. Please tell us about the conception of the campaign and how did you come up with the idea?
Wow, there's so many ways in. Charlotte, do you want to talk about the kind of history of how you came about finding the story and wanting to tell it?
So it's a very I'm trying to make the story short because it lasted 7 years. So I'm trying to recap. When I first started to work on the L'Oréal business, I wanted to understand everything about the brand. I wanted to make sure that the biggest beauty in the brand, the biggest beauty brand in the world, would have probably more meaningful role and more impact on the communities of women. So I started to understand and to dig into the archive. I went to, a black room. During a week, I was looking at all the advertising we've ever done for them. And I found the piece of content where I saw that there was actually another version of the first, preference campaign, which is the first time we saw I'm Worth It. It was a man and a woman, and the man was doing all the talking. He was touching the hair of the woman and commenting about the fact that he was feeling soft in her hair, in her neck, and he was saying I'm worth it. And we're like, wow, I've never heard of that campaign, never seen it. How come? This is incredible. And that's how we're like, okay, there must be something interesting there, because it's not often that a company does two ad to the same ad. And so we digged into the story and we find Ilon, and we found that he was a 23 years old copywriter working at McCann that has invented one of the most popular and famous slogan in the history of women advertising, and that's how we came with the character, and the story made so much sense that we were like, okay, how we can tell the story. So we tried to contact Ilon. She was sick at the time. She was doing chemotherapy, so it was difficult to talk to her. Then we made a small video on YouTube, which was not as powerful as what I think the story was meant to. And just for we didn't abandon, and we were talking with Julien all the time how we can tell that story. And one day, fun fact, one summer, we went with Julien to the cinema and we saw Barbie. I was like, oh my God, we're not doing our job properly, because Ilon is a story so powerful. And, the way she's written, I'm Worth It is so interesting that we need to tell that story. So we called Brandon, that was new at McCann, and we knew that he was doing super interesting format. And we talked about him about the project, and he told us, you need to do a documentary first. And that's how we started with the story.
Yeah, when I got pulled in, it was so it was such an interesting story, because I mean, I've obviously known about the line because I'm Worth It, for my whole life. I can't remember, when I first knew about the line. It was just something that's always been, but I never knew the story behind it, and the kind of thoughtfulness and passion of the team got me really excited, and we started to figure out like what would be the best way to approach this, and there's so much story to tell, and as Charlotte said, starting as a documentary short was a great way to start to bring awareness to the story, and create a proof point that the story could live in different forms in the future, and we always look for the right creative partner to bring in to help build the package around what we're trying to do. And Ben Proudfoot had just won his first Oscar for a film, The Queen of Basketball, and he has a history of telling really impactful and beautiful stories of women that have done wonderful things that the world has seemed to just kind of forgotten about. History has forgotten them. And then the three of us started to have conversations with Ben, and ultimately decided that he was the right person and that we had something really special.
So 7 years, you said, Charlotte, it took you? Wow. And what were the biggest challenges?
Convincing the client.
No, I think the biggest challenge, one, there was COVID at one stage. Second, we need to find Ilon, and Ilon needed to agree to tell our story, because she was honestly a little bit resentful with the industry, the advertising industry globally. And by the way, at the end of her career, she stopped advertising. She did other things. So she was a bit bitter. And then convincing the clients, to be honest, with respectful with our clients, when we showed the project as it is, as it was, as we were intended to be, it took 5 minutes to convince them. But before showing them, the shape of the documentary with our dear Ben, that took not a long time. But before that, it was complicated to invest. Two things were complicated. One, to invest in the brand and not on product launches, because that it's like the first time you hear L'Oréal is after 7 minutes. So, clients are not totally used not to be, the center of attention. So that was a little bit, a journey. And we had to do other stuff on the brand, like the Lessons of Worth or the Vogue Non-Issue project with Jane Fonda. And then little by little, they totally agreed that a brand is not the sum of all its products. It has got to, especially a biggest brand, like a big brand like L'Oréal Paris, needs to be like a mega brand and to connect emotionally with consumers. So we need to make sure that we are engaging with stories. So that took a little bit of time to convince them, and then it's an ambitious project. It's an ambitious project. There's money. It's not like a 50 seconds on YouTube. You need, Ben had one Oscar at the time. He got another one afterwards. It's a commitment of quality. It's a little budget, and on top of that, it's also convincing them to let go. And it's not a piece of advertising where they have to, shot by shot, have a point of view on every screen, on everything, the color of the wardrobe, etc. It was the opposite of that. So we're going to have the project. We met with Ben, with Julien and Brandon. There was no client, and they were not interfering with the project because it was like the decision of Ben to create everything. That was a little bit of a challenge because they wanted to see everything. They wanted to make sure that, are you going to interview Eva Longoria? But we didn't. And they were like, oh, why? We want to know more. But what is fantastic, and the only thing I will remember when we showed the results, they were super emotional. They were really happy and very proud. And so it was maybe a long journey because I think it was also something very new. When all the brands are expressing themselves in 7 seconds on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, coming back to 17, documentary format was something very different from what we were doing in the past. But I think everybody's super proud now of the project.
To bounce back on what Charlotte says, I think for the client it was a major shift and a big difference, on how to do things, like on every level, like having a woman of 90 years old, raw, authentic, talking not about beauty, but talking about worth in a format that's completely unexpected, where the brand comes after 8 minutes on the 17 formats at the time of super short 2 minutes advertising, as Charlotte was saying, was completely rupturist, and completely like a revolution.
And Julian, as creative director, how did you approach the storytelling architecture of the film? Were there moments where the narrative evolved significantly from the original concept?
But first of all, we let go a lot. No, it's true that I think when you find the right partner, you also leave a freedom and creative freedom. I think we were very clear on what we were looking for. There were some words coming back over and over. One was anger. We wanted people to feel angry. And it was like a sort of, like
Northern Light.
Northern Light, yes. We want people to feel this sort of like, oh, this is so unfair. This is like, I feel angry by this story. I feel like powerfully angry. And we wanted the people to feel a sort of act of courage to do things and to feel their worth and to change their perception on this. And then I think the beauty of the film, it's like a crossroad of different stories, because there are different stories in the film. There is a story of transmission between the mother and the daughter. There is a story of a passing away and death and what you leave, and as a sort of legacy. And of course, there's a story of a brand who is built around a powerful slogan, and the story of the creation of the slogan. So I think the power of the film is this sort of interaction between those four stories that are completely melted and intertwined.
And Brendan, how did your background in entertainment and branded content influence the film's packing tone and cinematic choices?
Sure. I think each project to the next, you always take like what you've kind of learned, and you're able to apply that. When we started out on the project, we didn't know what shape Elon was going to be in. We didn't know if we were, going to be able to get her to agree. And it was the right thing to think about this in a contained way, right? In the documentary short format. I also think that, most people watch doc shorts on their phones, so YouTube is the best place to distribute those, but they're elevated in a way that is, um, the production value is stronger than you would see in a traditional YouTube video. It's funny. I remember vividly having a conversation with Ben after he won the Oscar for Queen of Basketball, and we talked about how it's a 20-minute Oscar-winning documentary, and it's also a YouTube video, and this both things can be true at the same time, you know. So we wanted to make sure that we could reach as many consumers as possible, and that it was in a uh, there were no kind of gates to get through, that it was the distribution was going to be democratized. But in the choice of Ben, we knew that the craft was going to be first and foremost of importance. And we knew that the reverence and the elegance that he was going to bring to the project, not only to Elon, but to the brand and the line, and all that has been created in the 50 plus years, since she had that moment and wrote it. We knew that he was going to be the perfect partner. And it's that cinematic craft, that choice of perfect editing choices, the
Music.
the fact that you come over the room and the couch, and you find her as she's like laying there, and she turns up and says, "I'm dying." Like it's referential to Sunset Boulevard. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. You have all of these beautiful choices, and the cinematography, also the original score, the music that takes you on the journey through the apartment and through the world, and supports Ilon in her frail state to deliver, a really powerful story. All kind of departments on the film uh, worked together, and worked at the best possible way that they could.
And Charlotte, given your extensive experience in beauty and brand leadership, how important is it for modern advertising to revisit and elevate historical voices, especially ones like Elon Specht that have been overlooked?
I'm not sure it's really linked to beauty. It's first linking to advertising. I think it was important for us when we discovered Elon to rehabilitate her. We are a little bit fed up of the fact that women are not a little bit discarded or not listened to. So I think it was important for industry to set an example and to restage Elon on the voice she should have had at the beginning. Then what I like is talking about beauty, not on the surface, but giving it a more interesting role. But I think, first of all, I think for industry it's good to, everybody knows who's written, Just Do It, but Elon was not known. So you're like, okay, can we please put that things in perspective? And this is the woman, and she was, you've seen the documentary, there are so many punchlines. She was such a great copywriter. I wish I have spent much more time with her. So I think it's not so much the history, it's also she's super contemporary and very modern in her approach. And then I also love the fact that for a beauty brand, we are talking about how does it make you feel? How do you either everybody's worth it or no one is? I think it's also super powerful. And we are more than a brand which is, making red lips or a long eyelashes. I think it's centering the beauty world into something which is much more essential, which is much more important for young girls, especially. I think we felt it was a very powerful message. So it's not so much the fact he was old, he was super relevant at the same time.
I think he was is an interesting piece to connect the brand to the truth of the brand. And like McCann, we are our own tagline is "Truth Well Told," and like this piece is exactly for me the connection with the McCann "Truth Well Told," because it's like connecting the brand to its original mission, to the original meaning of what is I'm worth it, and by just reclaiming the story of the beginning of the worth it, you explain what I'm worth it means to a younger generation, because maybe I'm worth it had lost its meaning after a 20 seconds ad, a beautiful girl turning her hair and flipping it and saying like, yeah, I'm worth it. But when you connect back to the storyline and to this moment um, of anger, actually, when she says it in the middle of the meeting, the first meeting, she's angry. She says like, she basically says, I'm fucking worth it, and I'm here to make you listen to me because I exist. And so what I think it's a nice way to this connection with the truth, like what is the mission a brand is giving in the society, what is the purpose, what is the reason to be, what is the mission, what is the mission for the people.
I also
sorry.
Go ahead, Jordan.
No, she says something super cool. She says it's not about advertising. I don't care about advertising. It's about people. She says it in the documentary, Ilon. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that you teed that up, because that's where I was going to go, right? That there's such a conversation right now around, AI and machine learning and all of these things. And, it's a talent like Elon that believes something and sees an opportunity on a brand brief to write something that works for the brand that she also believes in, that gets you to the magic of I'm worth it. And I think that that we need to continue to give our creative people the opportunity to bring themselves to work, to bring their beliefs to the conference room. Um, and, the magic of these lines and the magic of what we do can't be replaced by machines. I don't know if you would ever get to a line like "because I'm worth it" without the human that was Ilon Specht.
And you mentioned about what the client thought when they first saw the result. What was your first impression in one word when you saw the final result?
I was super proud. I'm going to be honest. I was super proud. Yeah, I know you're not expecting more than one word, but I've been working for the last 30 years. This is the only piece I showed to my kids or to my parents.
What about you, Brendan, Julian? One word.
For me, perfect, honestly. It's like, I think perfect. Like one word's perfect. And why? Because it's a perfect way to solve a very complex equation. Like the equations of 4 stories within one, the equation of the brand connected back to its truth, the equation of putting back to modernity an old tagline. So it's I say it with no like I'll try not but yeah, it's perfect. It's amazing.
And you, Brandon?
Wow. I mean, you guys have taken some pretty good words. I will say the first time I watched it, I cried. Like the minute I remember standing in my kitchen and her saying I'm dying, and I just started to cry. So I mean for me, I think I was I guess the word is just emotional. It's the culmination of so many things. It is Ben and I had been looking to work together on the right project for many years and just hadn't found it. Um, uh, I so believed that it was important to finally give Ilon her flowers and let the world know that she was the powerful force behind not only the line and what it's done for L'Oreal, but really the way that women are portrayed in media and in advertising. It was, from what we understand, it was quite rare before that first spot for women to actually address the camera, and the power of, as she is walking and the camera is being pushed back, by, her powerful statements around worth. It was completely unheard of and jarring at the time. So, as Charlotte said, I was so proud. As Julie said, I thought that we'd hit something perfect, but I was really emotional because it was the culmination of so many things, and I knew that we had got it right.
What's next after a great project like this? Alas.
We've got a big project, but it's still a secret, so we are not going to reveal. And hopefully, it's not going to take us 7 years, but it's massive, so it might take us 7 years. But we
I
are.
will say his team is not done working together. We've got a bunch of things up our sleeves.
That's great to hear. A last question to wrap up. What are your expectations for 2026? What would you like this new year to offer you?
In general, the possibility to do great advertising that serves the cause of women.
For me, I mean, I think, gosh, we're just through the first 2 months of the year, and it's already been so hard in so many ways. I think I want to be inspired this year. I want to be inspired by people creating amazing and magical things, and lifting us all up.
I like amazing and magical. Julian, you have the last word. What about you?
Kindness.
C'était one word. Time is one word answer.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us all these exciting things behind the scenes of such a great campaign. And we are looking forward to everything that you're going to do this year. Let's hope for some great campaigns coming from McCann.
Well, we just want to thank everybody because we are very grateful to have received this award, and especially from the Gerety is a very special award. So thank you very much. We're also proud, super happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.